Chapter 1701. Alas, Lucien had misunderstood. Edwin couldn't possibly just go over to Lucien's side casually. Without Benjamin's instructions, he wouldn't make decisions on his own. Edwin was undoubtedly an exceptionally excellent butler and came to regard that place as his own home. If he were to leave, the family would find it hard to have their meals properly. "I'm busy," Edwin rejected outright. Kingsley and Sean laughed the loudest. "Chief Zabel, you should stop dwelling on this matter. It would be better to listen to us." Perhaps Edwin might agree. Kingsley took a sip of red wine, offering advice to Lucien. Edwin lifted his gaze, looking toward Kingsley. "What did you guys talk about? Are they scheming against me?" Kingsley gave a wry smile. "I didn't say anything." Edwin withdrew his gaze. Lucien glanced at Kingsley and Sean's timid demeanor and revealed it to Edwin. "They suggested to me that you prepare an extra portion of my meal here every day and then have it delivered to me. I doubt it'll taste the same as dining on the spot. It won't feel the same." To think they'd come up with that plan. The cost of that express delivery was so high that could have dined at a 5-star restaurant myself, Edwin chuckled. "That's not a bad idea, but if we send it by express delivery, Chief Zabel will only be able to eat it by the next meal. If Lucien wanted to have lunch, he had to prepare it in the morning, along with what he planned to eat in the afternoon. Despite having time, distance, and even insulation, it was impossible to replicate the effect of eating it right after it was taken off the stove. Many dishes would change color, and even their taste would significantly diminish. There was no difference from ordering takeout. Having something is better than having nothing at all. You don't have to do it every day. When I occasionally feel like eating, you could just prepare a few dishes." Lucien looked at Edwin, fearing that he might not agree. "There's no issue with that. It just means preparing a bit more food and setting some aside for you. However, the flavors might change during delivery. As long as you don't mind, it's all good." Edwin reminded Lucien that the food might change by the time it arrived at the latter's place. "Oh dear, no worries. The dishes you cook are always exceptional. I'll handle the ingredients over there. Feel free to make more meat dishes." Lucien didn't hold back and started ordering dishes. In the end, he asked Benjamin, "Is there any problem?" Benjamin glanced at him, seemingly quite troubled. "Am I essentially supporting another person here? Is the department's budget so tight that even you, the boss, have to come to my place for a meal?" Orissa chuckled and reprimanded Benjamin, "Why do you mind so much? If Chief Zabel likes to eat our food, just let him eat." "Chief Zabel, no problem. When the time comes, just tell Edwin what you want to eat. He'll prepare it for you. It's just that Edwin will have to go through some trouble again." "Isa, you're the best. You're not stingy at all." Lucien cheerfully clinked glasses with Orissa. Benjamin was speechless. "Preparing a bit more food isn't an issue," Edwin responded with a smile. "Chief Zabel, Orissa is quite a good cook. If you had come a while ago, you would have definitely had a chance to taste her cooking." Kingsley glanced at Orissa. It had been a long time since they had eaten Orissa's food. He was quite nostalgic about it. To savor the dishes made by Orissa, one would likely have to wait for a year or so, at least not until after the baby was born. Lucien's eyes lit up. "I'll definitely try your cooking one of these days." Orissa chuckled. She had figured out that Lucien was indeed a foodie, considering his eyes would light up unusually brightly when he heard of good food. "Don't listen to what Mr. Watts says. My cooking skills are still not as good as Edwin's." "Orissa, you're being too modest. Benjamin absolutely adores your cooking, doesn't he?" "We all do." Kingsley swallowed, still savoring the taste. Sean agreed. Indeed, it was delicious. When Edwin's dishes were served, Benjamin didn't seem to fancy them much. "Come on, you're going to upset Edwin with your words," Orissa said, caught between laughter and tears. The dishes prepared by Mrs. Graham were indeed excellent. Mr. Graham was quite fond of them. Edwin didn't mind. He, too, enjoyed the meals prepared by Orissa. Benjamin liked them even more. Smiling, Edwin glanced at Benjamin. Whenever Orissa personally prepared a meal, Benjamin would certainly show his support. Chapter 1702. Orissa was so flattered by their praises that she felt embarrassed, and a certain gentleman even chimed in. My wife's cooking is indeed delicious, but unfortunately, you won't be able to taste it any time soon. Lucian was taken aback for a moment, then joked, what's the matter? Are you jealous, not letting me eat? Benjamin let out a light hum, reminding once more, she is now carrying a baby and can't enter the kitchen. In truth, Orissa herself didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. It was Benjamin who didn't allow her into the kitchen. Any ordinary people would enter their kitchen on a regular basis. If being pregnant meant being treated like royalty, how could one possibly carry on with normal life? Despite being pregnant, Orissa not only had to do laundry and cook but also had to work, just like anyone else. Chief Zabel, don't listen to him. If you want to eat, I'll make it for you this afternoon. Orissa was preparing to make some food for Lucian, which he could take back with him. No need, no need. Benjamin cherishes you. I wouldn't dare let you cook, and it's not like there won't be another opportunity. Even after you have a child, you'll still be able to cook in the kitchen, right? Lucian was quite understanding. He knew that she was going through a special period, and it was indeed better for her to spend less time in the kitchen and avoid inhaling too much cooking smoke. Orissa shot a stern, reprimanding glance at a certain gentleman. Benjamin showed no signs of discomfort. He even leaned over to serve her some dishes, his voice gentle. Honey, eat your vegetables. The indulgent tone of his voice compelled everyone to take more than just a passing glance. Benjamin wasn't as gentle with others as he was with Orissa, not even with children. Although he dearly loved his child, he also had to assume the role of a strict father and could not be overly indulgent. However, when it came to his own wife, he could do as he pleased, spoiling her in any way he wished. Let's wait for later. I'll definitely give it a try, Lucian said, laughing as he looked at Orissa. He was very fond of her. Orissa nodded with a smile. Chief Zabel, please eat more. The dishes Edwin made are really delicious. He was the one who complained. It's probably because he must have grown tired of the meals Edwin prepared. Now, he has developed a new taste and only enjoys the food I made. That's Benjamin showing his support. Benjamin cherishes you, so naturally, he enjoyed the meals you prepared. If what you made was particularly unappetizing, no one would compliment you. Edwin is a professional chef. If he praised you, could he be wrong? Lucian laughed heartily, still believing that her culinary skills were quite unique. Otherwise, everyone wouldn't have praised her. Old Mr. Zabel, the food my mom made is so delicious. Even the carrots tasted great. Gavin looked up, praising Orissa. A sweet feeling welled up in Orissa's heart as she glanced at her son. Indeed, the food that Mommy made was delicious. The dishes prepared by Mr. Whitley were also tasty, as well as those made by great-grandaunt. Everything is delicious. We all love it. With a joyful smile, Timothy's eyes narrowed. He enjoyed the meals cooked by any of the three people he mentioned. Orissa, Edwin, and Mary all revealed happy smiles. Yeah, Mommy, Mr. Whitley, and great-grandaunt all cooked differently, but it's all delicious. We could enjoy a variety of their dishes, Jasper said with a face full of enjoyment. Lucian spoke with endless admiration. If I were working around here, I'd definitely come over to your place for meals every day. Having these delicious dishes daily would be absolutely therapeutic. Kingsley and Sean shared the same sentiments. Fortunately, they were in Delmore and often came for a free meal. Old Mr. Zabel, when you have time off, you can come to our house and enjoy these dishes, Zachary said, smiling at him. I wish I could, you know. You're unaware that my job doesn't really allow for much time off. It keeps me quite busy, replied Lucian. Huh, if that's the case, we wouldn't dare to do the same job as you. There's no time to rest. It's too exhausting, Jasper exclaimed in astonishment. He felt that having time to play was much better. Just like when Mommy was so busy before that she didn't have time to accompany them, it must have been tough. She couldn't get proper rest. That's scary. Oliver nodded in agreement. Working all day long really is quite dull. Seeing the youngsters backing off, Lucian quickly explained, Don't worry, I'm the only one who's extremely busy. Everyone else still gets their vacation. I assure you, as long as you come in the future, there will definitely be holidays, and you will also have the freedom to use your time. Benjamin was speechless. Chapter 1703. Could you please stop misleading them? Benjamin had the right to speak. Work at Lucien's organization was quite busy. Lucien let out a hearty laugh. I'm not misleading them. We are short-staffed at this time, which made us quite busy. For instance, in your case, most of your work is shouldered by others. Thus, compared to you, that naturally leaves us extremely busy. Why is it my fault again? Benjamin lightly huffed, casting a casual glance at him. Lucien chuckled a few times. It's not your fault. It's because I didn't arrange the work properly. It has nothing to do with you. Kingsley and Sean couldn't help but watch as Lucien slapped his own face so quickly. Chief Zabel, you just mentioned that Benjamin is the cause of your heavy workload, Kingsley reminded him. Did I say that? I might have been drunk, spouting nonsense. Don't take it seriously. Lucien was quite thick-skinned, primarily because he was afraid that Benjamin would throw in the towel and quit. Orissa, along with the 6 children, couldn't help but laugh. That situation was truly adorable. If you truly believe that I've been causing trouble for you all, I can resign. You can seek someone more capable. Benjamin held up his wine glass, swirling the wine inside. His actions seemed playful, yet not entirely so. No, absolutely not. I was just joking earlier. Did you actually take it seriously? I told you, if you quit, then I'll quit too. Let them come looking for you. Lucien even resorted to threats. Benjamin let out a cold laugh, continuing to mock Lucien. Wouldn't it be better, even more relaxed for you all, without me around? The corner of Lucien's mouth twitched slightly. That way, we'd be even more overwhelmed. I think I should hire a few more people, although I haven't found any outstanding candidates yet. Lucien glanced at Benjamin and inquired, if you have someone in mind, you can recommend them to me. Benjamin raised his eyebrows slightly. He indeed had someone in mind. You do have someone. Lucien was happy when he noticed Benjamin's expression changed. Benjamin glanced at him. There is a suitable person, but they still need some guidance. That's not a problem, but who are they? Do I know them? Lucien asked further. Everyone also turned their attention to Benjamin, curious about who that person was. While eating, Orissa was observing the man, curious to know who he was. Don't get your hopes up too soon. He might not agree, Benjamin cautioned Lucien. Who would ever be disdain working at the National Security Agency? This is something that so many people dream of but can never attain. Besides, since he came under your wing, I assure you, as long as he doesn't make a major mistake, I'll turn a blind eye. Lucien looked forward to Benjamin's recommendation, knowing the candidate would be exceptional. After all, Benjamin had a knack for judging people accurately. To Lucien's surprise, Benjamin was hiding someone. If hadn't mentioned this, is he planning not to recommend this mysterious person? Who is it? Orissa still wanted to know. There was a chance she might even recognize them. Benjamin gazed deeply at her. It's someone you know and quite familiar with. Someone I know. Orissa became even more curious. Who is it? Who was so exceptional by my side to have actually earned Benjamin's favor and be recommended for a position in the National Security Agency? It's vaguely coming back to me, even though I can't fully recall it, Bradley. Benjamin directly gave her the answer. Orissa's mouth hung open in shock, only closing after a moment. Bradley, I thought you. Bradley is nice, but doesn't Benjamin dislike him? Anticipating what she would say, Benjamin retorted, they're two different matters. Orissa was speechless. So, it's someone that Issa knows. They must be good. Lucien looked at Orissa with a beaming smile. Are they your friend? Orissa chuckled. He could be considered a younger brother, but whether he meets your bureau's requirements is still uncertain. Chapter 1704. If it's someone Benjamin personally recommends, could he possibly not meet the standards? I absolutely trust him. Where is he now? Why don't we have him come over so I can see him for myself? It was a rare occasion to encounter such talent, and Lucien was eager to meet the individual right away. It was then that Arissa remembered she hadn't contacted Bradley since she returned. No wonder I felt like I'd forgotten something. I'll ask if he has returned or not. He couldn't still be at Jocasta, could he? Upon hearing about Bradley, both Kingsley and Sean were quite surprised. Although they were familiar with Bradley, they didn't know much about the guy. Unexpectedly, Benjamin had recommended him for a position in the National Security Agency, affecting the entire situation. I initially thought that Benjamin would send him to the base. Kingsley laughed, stating that there would definitely be no issue with Bradley going to the base for training. However, going to the National Security Agency would require even stricter conditions. Arissa quickly grabbed her phone and hurriedly dialed Bradley's number. After several rings, Bradley finally picked up. Before Arissa could speak, Bradley's voice came from the other end of the line. "Boss, I'll be at Yaleview soon. Let's talk once I arrive. I'm driving right now." She had no choice but to respond and hang up the phone and spoke to Lucian. "He will be here soon. I'll ask him later if he wants to join the entire bureau." Arissa was also unsure if Bradley would agree to join. After all, Bradley preferred his freedom and solitude. Following Lucian, one would certainly lose a significant amount of personal freedom. Indeed, Lucian nodded. He wouldn't force such a thing either. Inherently, their work was fraught with danger and hardship. Without a true passion for it, it was indeed impossible to persevere. "Last night, I completely forgot to tell him. I thought he was still waiting over in Jocasta," Arissa told Benjamin, sounding somewhat remorseful. "I told him. He called you," Benjamin said with a light laugh. Arissa paused for a moment, guessing it must have happened while she was asleep, and then she smiled. Thank goodness. Otherwise, he would have continued to stay over there. "Did Bradley also go to Jocasta yesterday? How come we didn't see him?" Sean asked curiously, surprised to learn that Arissa had also invited Bradley over. "I was the one who sent him out. However, if Jeremiah detained me, he would have to continue finding ways to deal with Jeremiah," Arissa roughly explained. If Sean and Edwin were detained, they couldn't all just disappear without a trace. "This arrangement is quite good, Issa. You're quite clever. We need technical talents. How about you join us and take up a position?" Lucian's gaze was fervent, reflecting a yearning that one has when one spots true talent. Benjamin's brows furrowed tightly, shooting Lucian a stern glance. "Don't even think about making a move on my wife." Lucian glanced at Benjamin and couldn't help but give a wry smile. For Arissa to join them, Benjamin would have to agree. "Issa, you're always considering Jeremiah," sighed. "If you don't agree with me, I'm going to be upset." With a hint of jest, Lucian watched to see what Arissa would say. "During this unique period, I couldn't do much, so I didn't want to cause any trouble for you. Bradley has been excellent in this regard. Sometimes, he's even guiding me." Arissa also recommended Bradley because his technical skills were definitely among the top in the world. Lucian's eyes lit up. "You just said he might not meet our requirements. However, from what I see, he not only meets them but also exceeds my expectations." Kingsley and Sean looked at Arissa in disbelief. "Arissa, is Bradley really that impressive?" They only knew that Bradley was quite good at games, but they really didn't know much about that aspect of him. "Mr. Watts. Mr. Bailey. We learned our computer and hacking skills from Mr. Hinton." Zachary quite liked Bradley and supported the latter. Later on, when Arissa discovered they liked to do that, she started teaching them more about it. Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse all loved Bradley. Lucian looked at them in astonishment. "You all know hacking? How old were they to have learned such things at such a young age?" Chapter 1705. "Yeah, we do." Oliver adjusted his glasses, taking a moment to look at Timothy. "I could do it too, but he was still in the learning phase." Lucian looked at the group of youngsters, finding it truly unbelievable. Then, his gaze shifted back to Gavin, who was calmly eating. What about him? That child had always been by Benjamin's side, so he was undoubtedly competent, but he used to speak very little. It was unclear whether Benjamin had taught the kid those things or not. "Gavin is the strongest," Zachary said, glancing at Gavin, who was still eating. At that point, Gavin finally stopped. The child wiped his mouth before responding. You are more skilled than I am. Wow, they even started complimenting each other. Lucien's eyes lit up as he said to Benjamin, Benjamin, your children are extraordinary. So young, yet they already know hacking. When they grow up, at least one of them must join us. When that time comes, you mustn't be reluctant. Benjamin glanced at him. Whether they want to enter or not, that's their business. Don't forget what you said. Lucien exclaimed joyfully. Orissa was pleased to see how much Lucien valued the children. Whether the children could enter the agency or not in the future entirely depended on the children's own choices. They, as parents, would not interfere. As long as the children were happy, the support from their parents was all that mattered. At that moment, the sound of an engine echoed from the doorway. Everyone guessed that it was Bradley that had come. I'm going to check if it's Mr. Hinton. Jessie put down her bowl and ran toward the door. Upon seeing Bradley, the little girl was overjoyed. Mr. Hinton, it's been a long time. Bradley carried a bag full of food, all purchased for them. With one arm, he scooped up the little girl and planted a kiss on her face. Do you miss me? I do, Jessie said with a twinkling smile. I really do. Bradley carried her into the house. Where are your brothers? They are having a meal. Mr. Hinton, you haven't eaten yet, have you? Come join us quickly. They are all waiting for you. Jessie was grinning at him. He spent some time overseeing work in Rudisii village not too long ago. Having not seen him in person for several days, Jessie thought Bradley appeared even darker up close. All right. After placing the snacks in the living room, Bradley carried the little girl over to the dining room. Bradley, come and eat. Orissa beckoned him, urging him to come over. All right then, Bradley responded with a laugh, carrying the little girl over. The housekeepers had already set the bowl and tablewares for him next to Kingsley. Seeing that everyone was present, along with an unfamiliar face, Bradley hurriedly scurried off to wash his hands. I'm going to wash my hands. What do you think? Benjamin asked Lucien. Orissa also looked over. He's pretty good. Lucien gave a thumbs up, clearly pleased with the person he was looking at. Orissa was happy. Bradley was like her little brother to her. If he could manage to enter the National Security Agency, she would be happy for him. When Bradley returned, Benjamin called him over to his side. Mr. Graham. Bradley looked at Benjamin, feeling somewhat guilty. He was worried that Benjamin was seeking him out to settle scores. Don't be nervous. Benjamin, discerning his thoughts, introduced him to Lucien. This gentleman is the head of the National Security Agency, Chief Zabel. He has taken a liking to you. Would you like to join his agency? Bradley was a bit bewildered, but still greeted Lucien. Good day, Chief Zabel. Seeing him become reserved, Lucien chuckled. Don't be nervous. You can take your time to think. There's no need for you to respond right now. Let's eat. First. Oh, Bradley nodded, took a seat, and glanced at Orissa. Orissa gave him a comforting smile. Let's eat first. We can talk later. All right. Bradley relaxed, then quietly probing Kingsley. What's going on? Kingsley chuckled, teasing on purpose. Chief Zabel has taken a liking to you. Huh. Bradley looked utterly astonished. His suntanned face even seemed to pale a bit. Really, he has that kind of preference. Although Orissa didn't know what Kingsley had said to Bradley, she felt it couldn't have been anything proper. Mr. Watts, please don't frighten Bradley. Hee, Orissa, I wouldn't dare. Kingsley gave an awkward laugh. Chapter 1706. Bradley glanced at Orissa, meeting her gaze, then turned to glare at Kingsley. Kingsley couldn't help but laugh. Staring at him, he even deliberately asked, "Why are you glaring at me?" Bradley was speechless. Kingsley's earlier words were so peculiar that it led his thoughts astray. Lucien's intentions were certainly not what he had assumed. Seeing the way Lucien spoke with Benjamin, Bradley became even more convinced that he had misunderstood. "Where are you working now, Bradley?" Lucien suddenly asked. Startled, Bradley glanced toward Lucien. "I don't have a steady job. He has been supervising our work recently." Orissa replied to Lucien. "Grandaunt's house needed renovation, so we sent him over there to oversee the project." Lucian nodded, showing his understanding of their technicians' work. Even when technicians were at work, they had a relatively flexible control over his time. According to Issa, you were the one who taught her hacking skills. Asked Lucian. It's not entirely so. Boss naturally has this talent. She already knew how to do it. We just occasionally learn from each other. Bradley shyly chuckled as his skills weren't as good as Arissa's. Then you two are definitely experts. Our department is in need of such talent. The salary and benefits are absolutely top-notch. We welcome you to join our team. Lucian spoke with him, expressing his hope that Bradley would give it some thought. Bradley was taken aback, looking at Arissa with a hint of disbelief. He's trying to recruit me. Arissa gave him a slight nod. At that time, Kingsley also explained, Chief Zabel wants to recruit you into his agency to work. I'm not sure if you'd be willing. The shock intensified within Bradley. He hadn't expected that Lucian, the head of the National Security Agency, would invite him into such a prestigious institution. Why so sudden? Bradley was somewhat taken aback. Kingsley and Sean shared a laugh, then turned to him and said, Just now, it was Benjamin who recommended you. What do you think? Would you like to broaden your horizons? It's quite thrilling. Kingsley patted his shoulder, also thinking it would be quite nice if Bradley joined the agency. Bradley swallowed, leaning in to ask Lucian. Chief Zabel, are you serious? You're letting me work in your agency? Of course it's true. I'm not one to jest, said Lucian. Everyone at the dining table, including the 6 adorable children, couldn't help but twitch their lips. Lucian was quite fond of joking around, but when it came to work, he was decidedly different. The act of inviting Bradley was absolutely sincere. Benjamin recommended you to me, so you must be quite exceptional. However, our department often travels on business to apprehend people. It depends on whether you can accept these working hours, and there's a high likelihood of overtime. Lucian introduced the job to Bradley in a more detailed manner, allowing Bradley to gain a certain understanding of the work. Otherwise, upon entering without any preparation, one might find it hard to adjust mentally. Bradley was still interested and gave a shy smile. Am I really suitable? You wouldn't know if it's suitable or not until you try it yourself. How about this? I'll give you a 1-month trial period. If you find it suitable, you can continue working. If you ever feel it's not suitable, you're free to leave at any time. Even if you decide not to continue in this line of work in the future, you can still resign. It'll be no different from working in a company. However, our job, most of the time, is more of a passion. Without this kind of passion, it's impossible to carry on. Lucian was truly honest with Bradley. I'm telling you, their department is even busier than the other departments. There is hardly any vacation time, and sometimes, they even had to stake out, acting undercover. It might even be years before one might not see their family. Kingsley informed Bradley of everything he knew, allowing the latter to be mentally prepared. I know, Bradley chuckled. It's just like working as a police officer, almost, but our department deals with broader and higher level issues. Are you afraid of offending people? Lucian chuckled, not intending to coax Bradley into it. Chapter 1707. Bradley shook his head. I'm not afraid. He was all by himself, so there was nothing for him to fear. At worst, he'd still be a single man 18 years later. Lucian was quite pleased when he saw Bradley's demeanor, appreciating the latter's courage. You could discuss it with your family, but don't reveal where you plan to work just yet. Lucian gave him a stern reminder, advising him to think things through carefully. I have no family, only boss and the rest. Bradley glanced at Arissa and the children. If you want to join, I fully support you. Arissa gave him a thumbs up because working with Lucian definitely promised a bright future. Mr. Hinton, we support you too. Gavin, Timothy, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse all gave a thumbs up one after another, making Bradley feel touched. What was even more unexpected to Bradley was that Benjamin would recommend him for a position in such a high-level department. He had thought that Benjamin didn't like him. He glanced toward Benjamin. If you don't like it, you don't have to go. The choice is yours. Benjamin wouldn't force him, merely presenting an opportunity. It was up to Bradley to make his own choice. Bradley nodded. Take your time to consider. There's no rush. Let's have a drink first. Come on, if we don't start eating soon, the children will finish all the food. Lucian called out, raising his glass to signal everyone to clink their glasses together. Come, come. Sean also joined in the shouting. Everyone raised their glasses, and they all together enjoyed a good meal. Orissa, along with the children and Mary, didn't drink any alcohol. They were solely focused on eating their meal. After finishing their meal, Mary took the children out to play. Orissa, on the other hand, took a seat at the dining table, intending to keep Lucian, their esteemed guest, company. Go and rest. There's no need for you to stay here. Benjamin leaned over, speaking to Orissa. Orissa glanced at him, responding softly, It's all right. I'm just sitting for a while. Issa, once you're full, feel free to move around. You don't need to stay here with us. We, the old folks, still want to continue drinking. You should go and play with the children. Lucian, like an elder, waved his hand at her, indicating that she need not accompany them any longer. Orissa smiled, I'll head over then. You all take your time eating. Indeed. Lucian nodded. There was no one left at the dining table. Kingsley gestured toward Bradley, and they went to sit across from it. It was quite odd that everyone was sitting on one side. I'll go prepare 2 more dishes. Edwin noticed there wasn't much food to accompany the drinks, so he got up to prepare some in the kitchen. Lucian had specifically ordered 2. Edwin couldn't help but laugh. Chief Zabel, it's too late for the pork jerky you ordered now. Let's save it for next time. Just prepare a few simple dishes, Benjamin instructed Edwin, asking him not to make anything too complicated. Yes, Mr. Graham, Edwin responded, before busying himself indoors. If only there were some pork jerkies to eat. It's been so long since I've had any. Lucian licked his lips. Sean, Kingsley, and Bradley couldn't help but chuckle. Do you want to try every dish while you're here? Benjamin glanced at Lucian, finding himself at a loss for words at the latter's gluttonous behavior. Lucian narrowed his eyes with a sly smile. That sounds like a mighty fine idea, but it's a pity that I have to return this afternoon. Otherwise, I would definitely have Edwin make it for me. Why don't you wait until Edwin finishes cooking? Then you can take it home with you. Kingsley said with a laugh, this amount of time is indeed sufficient. If I take it on the plane, I'll make. Others drool with envy. Lucian thought about it and couldn't help but burst into laughter. He turned his head toward the kitchen and called out, Edwin, please prepare some pork jerky as well. I'll take them home with me this afternoon. Edwin walked to the door, apologizing, Chief Zabel, we don't have any pork jerky at home. It would take half an hour to have them delivered. Are you sure you have enough time? It was already past 1 at that point, and by the time the raw materials were delivered, it'd be 2. Even after briefly preparing them, it would still take at least half an hour before they could be cooked. It would take at least an hour to get it done, and when it was done, it'd be 4 in the afternoon already. My flight is at 6 o'clock, Lucian told Edwin, leaving it to the latter to figure out if there was enough time. All right, I'll call now to have it delivered. If you're in a hurry, you can take it back and prepare it yourself. Edwin chuckled, deciding not to bother with him anymore. At most, he'd prepare the ingredients and had Lucian make the jerky at home. Chapter 1708. There's definitely enough time. I'm not asking much for the pork jerky, said Lucian. The corner of Edwin's mouth twitched. Guess it's time to work. Edwin hastily made a phone call to have ingredients delivered, then he went in to stir-fry a few dishes. You're leaving so soon, Chief Zabel. Bradley was surprised. He had thought that Lucian would stay there for a few days. Yesterday, over by Jocasta, he saw someone from a distance, but he was unsure of Lucian's specific status. When they left, he also returned to Delmore, only he was driving. Unexpectedly, the car broke down halfway through the journey. Fortunately, Benjamin called him and sent 2 bodyguards to help. After much difficulty, they finally returned to Delmore, and it was almost morning. After going home for a nap, Bradley then came over to Yaleview. Indeed, work has been significantly delayed. I can't stay here any longer. Lucian glanced at him. If you've made up your mind, I can take you there this afternoon. Or do you need a few days to think it over? Bradley didn't have any relatives, so he was closest to Orissa. Orissa and the children all supported his work, so what was there for him to hesitate about? I'll join you in the afternoon. It'll be nice to have company on the way. Bradley chuckled. Otherwise, he would have had to find his own way there. Nice. Lucian was overjoyed, raising his glass to clink with his. I thought you would need a few days to consider. With an awkward smile, Bradley said, no need, boss has already supported me. I want to give it a try, too. Welcome to the team. Lucian's eyes crinkled in delight. He was the happiest among all. Unexpectedly, the trip here turned out to be quite fruitful. Chief Zabel, aren't you going to thank our Benjamin? Kingsley joked. Without Benjamin's recommendation, Lucian wouldn't have had the chance to meet such a talent. He didn't need gratitude. It was something he was supposed to do anyway. Lucian said, smiling at Benjamin. They were all from the same agency, so it was considered part of Benjamin's job to find people. Benjamin let out a light hum. Mr. Graham, thank you. Bradley expressed his gratitude, raising his glass to clink with Benjamin's. Benjamin raised his wine glass, clinking it against Bradley's. Your boss worries about you often. This job isn't easy either. You should go in and study hard for a while. If you truly can't adapt, there's no need to force yourself. You can always come back. Okay. Bradley's eyes reddened. He quickly drank his wine to hide it. Why are you crying? Kingsley couldn't help but chuckle. Don't be so touched. Benjamin introduced you for his own sake. I didn't cry. Bradley glared at him, his gaze piercingly sharp. Lucian glanced at Bradley and let out a chuckle. He's a sentimental person. Benjamin glanced at Bradley, but said nothing. Say, Kingsley, don't you think you should sometimes keep your mouth shut? You can't even stop talking while eating. Benjamin was right to call you a blockhead. Sean had inadvertently hurt Kingsley. Is this the right time to say such a thing? You're making Bradley feel awkward. Kingsley's lips moved slightly, and he directly tossed a peanut, hitting his target with unerring accuracy. It's your mouth that should be closed. How am I supposed to eat if my mouth is shut? Sean's forehead throbbed suddenly. Unable to out-argue me, this guy even resorted to physical violence. HMPH. Why do you two still enjoy arguing so much? Lucian was both amused and exasperated, while Benjamin simply ignored them both. We're incompatible. Kingsley and Sean spoke in unison before glaring at each other. All right, if you keep on chattering, you won't get to eat. Benjamin glanced at the two of them, issuing a warning. Immediately, both Kingsley and Sean behaved obediently. Bradley chuckled quietly. Edwin served the freshly cooked dishes he had just prepared, then sat down. Everyone continued to drink for another half-hour before finally leaving the table. Benjamin went to the study with Lucian to discuss matters. Those that had nothing to do moved over to the living room. Chapter 1709. Has everyone finished eating? Orissa was over in the living room. The children were feeling a bit sleepy, so they went upstairs for a nap. Mary watched them, unburdened by worry. Indeed, I've had quite a lot. Kingsley leaned back on the couch, his face reeking of alcohol, and he didn't feel like moving at all. They drank a mix of white and red. Lucian was indeed made happy by the drinks, but he himself felt uncomfortable. Sean had also consumed quite a bit of alcohol, but he was faring slightly better. However, he was nearly drunk as well. It was still Bradley that helped him come over. Relatively speaking, Bradley could hold his liquor better than they could. Seeing them all flushing red, Orissa rose to head toward the kitchen. I'll make you some hangover remedy. No need. Edwin is preparing it already. Kingsley quickly called out to stop her, then continued to lean on the couch without moving. Orissa stared at them and smiled as she first brewed some coffee for them, thinking it would help them stay awake. Come, have some coffee. The three men struggled to sit up, simultaneously sipping the coffee placed before them. Orissa chuckled as she poured them another cup. They had drunk several cups in succession. I'm going to the restroom. Sean stood up, swaying slightly. I'm going too, Kingsley grumbled, finding it annoying that drinking alcohol often led to frequent trips to the restroom. Bradley also rose. "I'm going too." Immediately, the three of them supported each other and headed toward the restroom. "Be careful." Orissa watched them sway as they walked and quickly called for a few servants to steady them. It was unclear whether Benjamin and Lucien had gotten drunk. Had she known they would get that drunk, she should have let Mary prepare the hangover remedy when the latter mentioned it. Orissa got up and went over to the kitchen to check on Edwin, fearing that he, too, might have gotten drunk. It turned out Edwin's face and neck turned bright red, but he remained very lucid. "Edwin, you didn't drink too much, did you?" Orissa stood at the door, looking at Edwin. "Mrs. Graham, I'm not drunk. I'm cooking them a hangover remedy." Edwin turned his head and smiled. His tolerance for alcohol was still quite impressive. Back in his younger days, he was better, and there were hardly a few people who could outdrink him. Benjamin managed to persuade Edwin to be his butler only after he had outdrunk the latter. Edwin lost fair and square, thus he agreed to be Benjamin's butler. Orissa didn't know about that. Where are Benjamin and Chief Zabel? "Mr. Graham is fine, but Chief Zabel was a bit overwhelmed. They are discussing matters in the study." Upon hearing Edwin's words, Orissa was stunned. "Didn't you say Chief Zabel was drunk? How could he still discuss matters?" Edwin chuckled. "He's drunk, but his mind is still clear." Then, he turned off the stove and set the remedy aside. Orissa paused. "That's possible. Mrs. Graham, please step aside. I'll carry this remedy out," said Edwin. "All right." Orissa quickly moved aside, careful not to block Edwin's way. Edwin carried the hangover remedy to the dining table. "I'll take these to Mr. Graham and Chief Zabel first." "Let me do it." Orissa stepped forward. She had nothing else to do and was curious to see if Benjamin was drunk yet. Edwin chuckled. "Be careful, it's hot." Orissa took the remedy and set it down. "Let's wait for it to cool down a bit before serving it to them." "Good idea." Edwin served himself a bowl and slowly took a sip. "Edwin, wait a bit before you drink. It's too how." Orissa warned him. "It's all right. I'll sip it slowly. This stuff tastes better when it's hot. If it cools down, I won't be able to drink it." Orissa chuckled, looking at him. "Edwin, you sure can hold your liquor. You probably drank as much as they did, didn't you?" When they were at the dining table, the men all drank about the same amount. "I drank more than what Mr. Watts and his companions consumed. I had quite a few with Chief Zabel." Edwin couldn't help but chuckle. Although he could hold his liquor well, drinking that much was still quite unusual for him. Ironically, Lucien insisted on dragging Edwin into a competition, leaving the latter with no choice but to see it through to the end. Chapter 1710. You guys should take it easy. Drinking so much will only make you feel terrible. Orissa went over to the refrigerator, searched a bit, and took out some oranges. "Eat something sour." She selected the plumpest one for Edwin. Edwin took it over and said, "It's rare for us to gather together, so it's inevitable to avoid drinking." "Don't worry, Mrs. Graham. For us, it's still within an acceptable range." Orissa chuckled, picking up a plate to serve herself some oranges. "I'll deliver these to them." "Okay." Edwin slowly sipped the hangover remedy, taking a sip and then blowing out a puff of warm air. Upon seeing Kingsley, Sean, and Bradley emerge, he quickly called them over for a drink. "My goodness, I feel much better after throwing up just now," Kingsley said with a laugh, walking more steadily than earlier. Edwin chuckled as he watched them. "You went to get the wine yourself. Are you happy with your decision?" Kingsley chuckled lightly. "Next time, let's not mix drinks. It really is uncomfortable." Although Sean's alcohol tolerance was decent, it still fell short compared to theirs. He was a doctor who usually made sure not to get drunk. Thus, he didn't have much opportunity to increase his alcohol tolerance. At that moment, he couldn't vomit, feeling even worse than before. "Mr. Bailey, are you all right? Quickly, drink this hangover soup." Edwin watched him leaning against the edge of the dining table, looking uncomfortable, and urged him with a word. "Drink it while it's hot." Ice comforting. Even without getting drunk, drinking the hangover remedy would still bring a sense of relaxation throughout the body. "Right." The three individuals promptly began to drink, seated on their chairs, sipping while the remedy was still hot. Edwin laughed, expressing his surprise that Bradley wasn't as drunk as the other two. "Bradley, you seem to have a good tolerance for alcohol." "Yeah," Bradley chuckled. "Do you often drink alcohol?" "No, I only used to drink a bit when hanging out with friends." Bradley himself didn't really drink much, anyway. He always ended up less drunk than others. Edwin nodded in approval, praising, "Good, your ability to hold your liquor is indeed a commendable trait." Bradley glanced at him. "Why do you say that? If you work under Chief Zabel, you'll inevitably be involved in drinking sessions. When the time comes, you'll certainly be put to good use." Edwin chuckled, confident that with more practice, Bradley would undoubtedly become even more exceptional in the future. "I'll be drinking more?" Bradley asked curiously. "Don't you consider what department this is? They deal with celebrities and wealthy elites. When necessary, you have to disguise and infiltrate high society. How can you manage if you can't drink?" Edwin approached closer to him, briefing him in advance about the potential issues he might encounter. He also took the opportunity to teach the younger man a few tricks on how to avoid falling into others' traps. Kingsley and Sean sat off to one side. They were indeed not so drunk as to lose their senses. "Edwin, you've actually started sharing your wisdom. Why didn't we see you teaching us anything before?" Kingsley teased Edwin, remarking that Edwin really didn't hold back when it came to sharing with Bradley. "You don't need me to teach you. You're with Mr. Graham every day, yet you've learned nothing. How am I supposed to teach you? I'd exhaust myself to death." Edwin grumbled with exasperation. Kingsley and Sean exchanged a silent glance. "Are we that terrible?" Edwin didn't pay them any more attention as he continued to share his experiences with Bradley. Orissa knocked on the study door. Then, balancing a tray in one hand, she opened the door with the other. Benjamin and Lucian were seated by the coffee table. Upon her entrance, the two of them actually stopped their conversation simultaneously, not continuing any further. Due to the unique nature of his job, Benjamin didn't want her to hear too much, as it could easily cause her to worry. "Did I disturb you? I've brought you some hangover remedy." Orissa chuckled and quickly handed it over to them. "Issa, you're truly wonderful, even remembering to prepare a hangover remedy for us." "Benjamin, your wife is incredibly thoughtful," Lucian was openly praising, clearly fond of Orissa. "If I had a daughter like this, I'd wake up smiling every day." Orissa paused for a moment. Benjamin also glanced toward Lucian.